Hi, my name is Zachary Toth. I'm a professional photographer based in Atlanta, Georgia. I've always been an artist. Originally was doing graffiti, was illustrating, was graphic designing. I went into school for graphic design. We're here right now at the water tower at the Stacks. This is, in my opinion, one of the most famous, sort of infamous structures here, historical structures here on the property. Beautiful structure. It's got 100 years or more of wear and tear on it, and just tons of great texture and color and just history and energy around it. For me, it sort of draws me to it because it sits in the middle of a beautiful courtyard that's sort of been repurposed. This was once an area where people worked and lived, and we're out here to really just kind of make ends meet. And now it's sort of a place, an epicenter for people to live and have fun and you know, raise a family, enjoy their lives. And oftentimes you catch a great sunset here because of the sun setting sort of almost right behind. It will give you sort of a backlit structure with tons of great glowing light that sort of resonates inside of the courtyard here. I do believe that if you put the same camera in two different people's hands, knowing the ability to use the camera and use the features and the technology, that's important, but it's not going to create the image. It's not going to make the shot. I'm standing in front of the old factory here, which is one of my favorite landmarks on the property, a structure that was built in the late 1800s that's now still standing and still part of people's lives today. The image that's being shown here is one of my favorites. It's titled The Old Mill 1. It sort of shows the complete sort of ornate detail in the exposed factory that sits above our pool. Really, it was at a perfect time of day. I chose a low angle to really highlight the sort of enormousness of the structure, which sort of lets you know how you stand as a human in front of it. It's amazing it's been standing here after over 100 years, almost 200 years of history of people working, living, and interacting with this structure. I've actually always sort of been an adrenaline junkie and sort of an explorer at heart. Some of my favorite things, hands down, are just architecture, old buildings, places I necessarily maybe even shouldn't be. I like things that haven't been looked at in a while, things that people haven't walked on in a while, and it's sort of drawn me to like old buildings and historic properties and historic architecture, just finding unique points of view through exploring these areas. The Fulton Cotton Mill is hands down one of my favorite places in Atlanta, Georgia. There's 200 years of just beautiful, rich history here. and just what went into creating this little area that I love and live in and just learn to cherish so much is just, I love history, and I love people that have sort of created their own lane and then have always worked to keep it and sort of preserve it. And so, you know, coming from my childhood, growing up in a blue-collar town of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, this sort of goes right along with it. It's an old mill town. What I love so much about the Lofts is not only the rich history, but how it's been also repurposed and how also it's been preserved. Right here we're standing in front of the stacks, the two famous smoke stacks that can be seen from really all over Atlanta and have become sort of one of the most recognizable structures here at the Fulton Cotton Mill and the stacks. I love these structures because they are so tall and sort of grandiose. And in an image with a low angle, as I've chosen, sort of makes your eye draw to the sky, which to me was one of my main focal points. It is about the architecture, but as much as it's about the architecture, it's about the skyline. Photography kind of chose me in a way because I never really sought it out. I never really had a dream like other kids to be a photographer. I kind of just let the path take me, and everything I learned as far as illustrating and design and interior design and just the fundamentals took me into photography. My biggest influences were always graffiti writers and extreme sports athletes because I just always felt like they were always pushing the boundaries and always doing something that people could never understand. How the heck did they do it? There's no way they could do that, but there always was a way, and they were always proving that it could be done. So they just always inspired me to push boundaries and, you know, leave them guessing.